Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And first of all, I would like to thank organizers for inviting me here. It was quite a long flight for me, and I had a possibility to spend a few days in southern part of South Africa, and I have to say that I enjoyed it quite a lot. But of course, I know I spent only a few days, and it's a small piece of this area. My presentation will be a bit of follow-up to Martin's welcome speech. For the participants who will sleep now, then you have to know that in your conference bags there is a small booklet. Then you are welcome to read it when you are at home. We are working with many different species. Of course, main is dairy, but we are working also with beef cattle, sheep, goats, buffaloes, and alpacas. And we are working on identification field. We are working on performance recording, including laboratory services and so on. And genetic evaluation. I think Interpol is quite famous brand or trademark, I would even say. ICAR has quite a lot of different subcommittees and working groups. And I think we are covering all steps in performance recording. We have animal identification, conformance recording, parentage recording. We have working groups for dairy milk, for goats, for sheep, and so on. Outcome of all these working groups is ICAR recording guidelines. Quite often we can hear that they are called ICAR standards. Actually, they are guidelines, and it means that it is voluntary for every country to decide if they follow these guidelines or not. And actually, it's not a standard that there is only one way to do performance recording. There are different ways, alternatives, and every country is free to choose how they would like to implement the recording system in their country. Our guidelines are updated regularly, and actually it is agreed internationally. If you remember the map Martin showed you, it means that all these countries are agreed on these guidelines. And what is good with these guidelines is that, first of all, they are free for everyone. You don't have to be only ICAR member to use them. Everyone can download them from ICAR website. But of course, we have a hard copy as well. If we come to the ID regulation, then I think it was already mentioned that there are international standards or requirements. But of course, every region or every country might have their own very specific requirements for animal identification. The aim of ICAR is to provide reliable basic information, and to certify ID devices. And actually, we are working for farmers. Our aim is to serve farmers. We try to standardize requirements internationally. The aim of ICAR is to save cost for developing local standards. For example, the country I'm coming is really small country, and actually we don't have any additional requirements for ID devices. We totally rely on ICAR standards. And of course, to use international standards or requirements, it helps us to save cost for testing products only for our market. So it means that if there is product on the market, the manufacturer has to test this product only once, and many countries can rely on these test results. And of course, by the end of the day, the price of the one ear tag is cheaper for a farmer. In ICAR guidelines, there are different parts talking about animal identification. We have a very general principles how animals should be identified. We have testing protocol for visual tags. We have guidelines how to test RFID devices, but actually it is based on ISO standards. And this year we introduced a new test about tag composition and environmental test for RFID devices. ICAR basic rules. Animal ID, even for recording, performance recording, should be official if it's possible. And of course, every animal identification should be unique. Animal identification shouldn't be reused. It should be visible, and device should be attached to the animal. It won't help us if device or ear tag is at home or in the office. So it has to be attached to the animal. And of course, sometimes animals are losing ear tags, and it would be good if the re-identification is with the original number. And it's quite challenging with export and import. It would be much easier if countries could keep the origin identification device. If we are talking about ICAR testing and certification system, then for visual tags we have a preliminary test. I come to this a bit later. Laboratory test, and for RFID tags we have conformance test, performance test, and device composition and environmental performance test. Preliminary test for visual tags or conventional tags, it's very quick and quite a cheap test to understand if product exceeds minimum quality requirements. We are just testing if we can lock the tag, what is the braking force, and so on. And actually, it seems very cheap and so on, but more than 50% of tags fails already during the preliminary test. But these tags are still on the market. And just few examples. Sometimes you can't apply the tag to the animal even. It's broke before. Sometimes you can just apply, but you can reopen the tag. Laboratory test for conventional tags, it is more technical, more specific, and time-consuming, and of course it's more expensive. But yeah, a short overview. There are some chemical tests to understand the plastic composition. We try to understand what will happen with tags after 7 to 10 years. If we still can read the number that was printed on the tag. We are measuring braking force in different temperatures. The country I'm coming is quite in the north. -25 is not something special for us. We can experience it every winter, but of course we will never experience plus 40 degrees. We check if printing is visually or machine readability. We do test for RFID devices, but sorry, you have to remember that we test only low-frequency devices. And the conformance test is just to check if the code structure is okay and if we can read the number with the readers. And the performance test, we just try to understand how is the performance of these devices. But there are quite some challenges. Quite often people think that if a product is already ICAR certified, that it's very good. If we are talking about RFID tags, that it is very good product. But if there is only performance and conformance test done, then it is describing the electronic part. It doesn't show anything about the plastic. And that's why we introduced the environmental performance test for RFID devices. We test if this tag is suitable for animal identification in different environmental conditions, and we try to understand what will happen with electronic part in different environmental conditions. And all ICAR certified products are listed on ICAR website. Of course, the picture is quite small, but if you go to the ICAR website and take ICAR certification, animal identification, and then you can find. And message to take home. ICAR is to help you to find good ID devices, but ICAR cannot take decisions for you. You have to take the decision if this product is suitable for our conditions. We, or our test laboratories, they have done a lot of tests, and these test results are comparable with other products. And if you are deciding which product you would like to use, please request test reports from manufacturers and please read them carefully. Thank you.